Ben Kent is our next speaker from Inglewood on Beaufort. He's a big believer of the idea that the more you give, the more you get back. Threefold return. And that getting involved in your local community builds connection that leads to a stronger sense of belonging. Ben is going to have a chat to us today about the Inglewood on Beaufort. Would you please put your hands together for Ben Kent?
Thanks very much, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about the transformation of Inglewood. That has really, it was a place that was really seen as the in-between place between the very thriving and vibrant Mount Lawley and then the big kahuna of Morley Galleria and people passing through generally, as a place that you just drive as fast as you could to get to one place or the other. And we've really been able to turn that around into a place that we now can quite rightly call a main street, and it's really been seen as a very successful place across Perth and is attracting a lot of interesting attention and businesses. One thing I wanted to talk about, I guess, from this was the importance of getting people together to actually have a true understanding of their street, because our town centre, like I was saying, most people were just driving through. Most of us really only had the experience of Inglewood from our cars. We might, as Steve was saying, park as close as we could to the butcher, quickly duck in, get out again. So a really important thing that we wanted to do is get as many people together as we could and actually walk the street. By doing this, we also had people role-playing, what would it be like to walk the street as a person in a wheelchair, as a blind person? What about kids? Let's role-play and get people to sort of kick a soccer ball around, and how does that feel when there's 60 cars going 60 k's an hour right next to you? So it really helped to, I guess, galvanise us as a group around the main thing that we want to do here is build a place for people and a place of connection. We don't want it to just be seen as a bunch of shops fronting a busy street. And what did we find on our street? Well, a whole lot of bloody ugly buildings and bloody ugly spaces. There was a great plan by town planners and big main roads people to widen Beaufort Street into 3 lanes each way. That was in the 70s. So any buildings that were built around the 70s and 80s had to set themselves back by about 10 metres or 5 or so metres from the main street. Now, most sort of town planning wisdom would say, let's get all of those buildings back to the main street, create the zero lot line. And we were, thinking, yeah, that makes space, that would generally make sense to us. But as we were doing this workshop, we were finding that these were the spaces we're actually congregating in. These were the spaces we were having the conversations about what was the rest of the street like. So sort of pricked something up in our mind. And also, like I've been talking about, just this issue of people travelling way too fast, causing accidents. We had a few near misses on the workshop itself, and we really wanted to start the push around how we could get people to slow down. But really importantly, just having a speed sign there isn't enough. We really need to create that sense of activity. So after that workshop, we really thought about, well, what are ways that we can just quickly get more people onto the street, making it a less ugly place. Let's get some murals up, the sort of placemaking 101, places where people could sit. We noticed there were massive lack of seating, so let's just build some really quick, wooden planter boxes, put some plants in the middle of them, and they've been around now for a fair few years. And the Monday night markets, which was a kooky idea around, well, let's actually bring food trucks, which back then nobody really knew about them in 2015, on a Monday night, which is usually like, what the hell, why would you ever do that on Monday night? That's never going to work. Ended up being a massive success because who the hell wants to cook on a Monday? Monday-itis is a big thing, and all of our restaurants were shut on a Monday, so we weren't dealing with cranky restaurants saying we were taking away trade from them. That has been a massive success, and now that runs sort of every week for 6 months of the year and attracts about between 2,000 and 3,000 people to Inglewood every week. Mostly locals, but we're getting people as far and wide from the hills, people from down south. We did a survey, we had people from Harvey there. So we know that people are coming, and whether they're just passing through and going, well, what the hell is this, let's stop, or they're actually wanting to come, doesn't really matter to us. It's bringing people to our area and they've got eyeballs on the shops. So we wanted to then just look at how do we get from the temporary to the permanent. All of these great ideas, how do we actually get to make change in the street? And we kept coming back to these bloody ugly spaces. So we engaged some really creative minds who really started to say, well, look at these spaces as your creative gems. These are the spaces where we can bring people together and get them to exchange great ideas. We had our eye on two of these main spaces. So this where someone a shop owner had the foresight to do a lovely mural, kept getting tagged, but anyway, we thought, well, there's some start there. It's just across the road from our town square. And then also we've, the other spot was just next to that, place with a very, very ugly building. But all of these shops that were for lease, constantly just businesses transitioning through. So we had these two spots. We had some money in the bank from our market, so we started to do a lot of conversations with people who have money, so the federal government, state government, our City of Stirling, and managed to fundraise. So we put in 50%, but across all of these organisations, we got 180K together, and we managed to start to actually transform these spaces into pocket parks. So the works began, and we had a plan out from a landscape design company. Importantly, we engaged the community as much as we could. We got a great guy to come in and do a mural. So on one of our market nights, we had people come in and actually paint the bottom half of it. Continued to basically lots of people asking what the hell's happening and what's going on our main street. And, it took a little bit of time and a few people saying this is worse. Why are you taking away? We should have just left it as it was. But quickly then could see that once that transformation came through, it really created these beautiful spaces. But importantly, again, what we wanted to do with these is create as much community connection to them as we could. So having these planting days where we've got lots of families out to actually feel like they're the ones who are making this space grow, which helps to build that ownership and make sure that they're not going to people aren't going to vandalise it, or if people are going to, they're going to come in and help us to fix it. So having these groups together, really helped to galvanise that, and they're starting to, actually do the weeding and the gardening and the like of the spaces, which is helping out. That should say welcome. I don't know why it says Isjul Cone, but it says welcome. And yes, it's a glorious spot that people really gather. So we're having little sundowners and the like, which are being beautiful things, and our local businesses that are fronting these spaces are starting to use them for their own activation and the like. And what I wanted to get to as well as the community who now come in and actually start to oil the Inglenooks every year. We have to do it because we chose timber, and the City of Stirling said, do not choose timber, you're going to have to maintain it, but we're doing it anyway. This group here, so the Sugar and Nice, they love it so much, and I've got a quote from them that I'll read out as a closing remark. But they're the ones who now every day they take out the deck chairs and put up the umbrellas every day. So we don't have to do that. Now we've got a business who's doing it. Thankfully, the City of Stirling's turning a blind eye to the fact that it's increased their alfresco space, so we don't have to have more car parking. But Marnie from Sugar and Nice said, I knew having a public space next to my cafe would be beneficial, but since this space was installed, it has exceeded my expectations. When COVID struck, I decided to operate takeaway only. The Inglenook space initially provided a much-needed oasis for my customers during the COVID lockdown. The community embraced the space and kept their distance while staying safely connected. My customers comment regularly how much they love the Inglenook and how they can enjoy the fresh air, keep up social distancing, but still keep connected. It has become a true Inglewood community hub. It has also improved the dull, monotone streetscape. The transformation has added immeasurable value to the area. In a time of uncertainty, the Inglenook has given me hope that my cafe can survive these tough times. And in the other building as well, we had fieldwork physiotherapy who was really struggling themselves, but their comment was, it has been a huge improvement to the appearance of the building, and many new clients have commented that they had not noticed our business or building previously. We have also had 2 to 3 new tenants in the building since the upgrade, so it looks like the Inglenook has helped to breathe life into this part of Beaufort Street. We often see locals enjoying the space by having a seat and reading or chatting over coffee and relaxing on the grass while they have lunch. We look forward to enjoying the space and the sense of community that Inglewood on Beaufort is helping to create. So we've got a few other businesses who are moving in, and it's really creating this gorgeous spot. And we just got our approval for our 40-kilometre speed trial, which a big comment from the government was that we wouldn't be doing this if he hadn't actually been taking the first steps of trying to actually bring people to the street. So it's a really important thing around this. And yeah, I guess that's my comment around the transformation of Inglewood. Thank you.
And Ben is a living example of what can happen when you do invest into town teams, and is now working within this space on a permanent basis. So the opportunities for all of us are there. Thank you, and I apologise for having to cut you off. This is a weekend love-in. It's not a one-dayer.